We're now joined by Coach Kim Mulkey from Baylor. Coach, welcome, and you're not going to do an opening statement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, questions for our coach from the floor. If you will, give your name and your affiliation, please. Well, we got a question on the front right.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News. Kim, I asked your players this in Waco, but wanted to get your thoughts. Is your team playing its best basketball right now coming into the regional?
Yes.
Could you elaborate?
I honestly, Chuck, I thought after the Oklahoma State lost the first game of conference, I saw a team that got better and better and better. I think the depth of our team has made us better. I'm quick to take one out and give another one a shot because I'm that confident in the 9 players that average double figures for us. And I think that kept us on our toes. I think it keeps us focused. Obviously, the loss kept us focused, but I've never walked off a court where I thought our team didn't improve this year. And that's hard sometimes to say.
We got a question right here in the middle.
Stephen Hawkins, AP. Kim, your team's had some good moments and some bad moments in this building. Is there anything, though, to experience of having been in this building for your program? I don't think any of the other teams have been.
I don't think so. I think maybe the only thing you'll notice is the fans. I think the proximity to Waco will allow us to probably have more fans than anybody. But last time I checked, the average age of our fans, I don't think they'll be able to pass it, shoot it, or dribble it for us. So it's not really going to matter. It's what takes place on that court, and all 4 teams that are here are good or they wouldn't be here. I think that Florida State and Baylor's offensive philosophies are very similar. And then you've got DePaul and Oregon State who are a lot different than Baylor and Florida State. So I think you're going to see good basketball. I'm glad it's in Dallas. I think it'll be great for when the Final Four is hosted here. And we're certainly glad to be here.
Question on the front right.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Kim, you've talked about having 9 starters. For the most part, you knew what most of those were going to do, but are Kalani and Beatrice kind of the X factor in terms of where they've developed from the start of the season till now?
Well, they're a factor. I don't know if they're the X factor. I think Alexis Jones, in a lot of ways, could be the X factor because we knew how talented she was. All of us that live around here have watched her grow up, but she was coming off 2 knee surgeries, and she just had to be patient and get to the point that she is now. The improvement of Kalani and Beatrice starts with what they brought to the table initially. Those 2 young ladies had the luxury of having, Beatrice had an outstanding high school program and high school coach who taught her things that I can't take credit for. And then Kalani's mom and dad, you know, I coached her mom at Louisiana Tech, and her mother coached her as an assistant in high school. She sent Kalani to us with things that a lot of freshmen don't have. Now, what we did was take those things and make them better. Part of it is the intensity, the focus, the passion with which you have to play for a long period of time at this level, and I think that was probably their biggest adjustment. And then defensively, they've never had to do anything but play behind people and block shots, and now they're getting better on the defensive end of the floor.
Got a question on the right.
Mitch Blomer, Waco Tribune-Herald. Coach, with your team this year and in the past, the opponents like to take away your size by just trying to crash the paint. They're leaving some things open at the perimeter, and you guys have taken advantage of that by becoming a very good 3-point shooting team. I know Alexis is, in her last 5 games is close to 50%. Just talk about how much your team has evolved as a perimeter shooting team because of teams trying to take away your size in the paint.
Mitch, you know, my philosophy, and I'm old school, you got to have post players. And the teams that don't think we can shoot the three ball are learning, well, why would I jack up a bunch of threes if I've got 6'7" and 6'5" in the paint? We can shoot the three. Prince can shoot it. Wallace can shoot it. Jones can shoot it. Nia can shoot it. But you don't have to when you have size in there. So that's not a fluke. If you look at our stats throughout the year, we distribute it pretty evenly. You look at scoring, other than Nina Davis and Alexis Jones averaging in double figures, I mean, it doesn't really drop off a whole lot of those 9 players. Look at the rebounding. We've remained consistent rebounding the ball, and they're all getting their share of rebounds, even when we go small on the perimeter. We take Prince out, who's 6'2", and you go with Wallace, who's about 5'9". Wallace and Jones will get in there and rebound with the best of them.
Question on the aisle right.
Kim, some teams might have just shrugged off that first loss in conference play. It looked like your players and you took it very personally and took it to heart. Talk about, did that galvanize this team going forward, and what kind of effect did it have?
Well, I definitely think it had an effect. We didn't play Nia Johnson in that game. She could have played, but she tweaked her ankle in the tournament right before Christmas, and it wasn't a sprained ankle. It was like a bone bruise. And I just told the trainer, no, if she limps down the floor, she's not playing. And after the game, after we lost, Nia took it harder than anybody. I mean, she was crying. She was extremely upset, felt she'd let her team down. But the one thing I remember is one of the freshmen was like in shock at her tears. She's like, it's just one game. So I think when a freshman says that, they learned real quick it's not just one game. That one loss could have cost you the conference championship. So I think it did allow the freshmen to understand, oh boy, and focus on the next game. And focus on the next game. We couldn't look at the big picture from that first game when we were defeated. We had to look at the next game. And I think it got, especially the freshmen, I think it got their attention.
Got a question in the middle.
Kim, as we've talked about the size of your team, but what about what they bring inside? I mean, they have their 6'4" center, the senior in there, and they've got a 6'5" girl that they bring in. Just talk about the challenges they present with what they've got.
Well, I don't know about 6'5", unless you're talking about James. I know a dude, we recruited her, and she shoots as many threes as she does posting up inside, and that's a difficult matchup. Obviously, with her athleticism, she's a tremendous rebounder. We're very familiar with Romero. She's the kid that transferred from Kansas State to them, and was a junior college transfer from Trinity Valley. But the impressive thing is they're kind of small inside. If you look at Thomas, who leaps out of the gym, dunks it, takes most of her shots in the paint area, so it kind of reminds you of a undersized post player like we have with Nina. Then Slaughter can play inside for them. Then you look at their perimeter. They're shooting the 3 ball. They will score at all positions. You look at their stats. They score like we do at many positions. I think it'll be a very entertaining game offensively, and I hope that our defense is just a tad better than them. I looked at field goal percentage defense, both teams, and I think we were 3rd in field goal percentage defense on the NCAA stats, and you need to look. I think they were 111th, but I'm not positive about them. But we pride ourselves on our defense.
Question on the back right.
David Smoke, ESPN Central Texas. Kim, you've been a part of 2 national championships, had great success. We've heard about how the players react when they've lost in the postseason or earlier this year. How do you take those losses and react and feed you?
Well, I remember when I first got the job at Baylor, and I actually, before we played Texas Tech, Marcia Sharp came to see me before the game, and we sat and talked. And I asked her, I said, Marcia, how do you do this for this long a period of time? I said, these losses eat on me. And I said, I can't stay in it forever. I said, I want to live. And she laughed and she said, Kim, the older you get, you learn how to manage that better. And she's exactly right. You learn how to manage it better. You never lose your fire. You never, I mean, losses, you're always thinking about what could I have done differently as a coach. And, but you learn to manage it a little better. You can't dwell on it because you've got to move to the next game. And she was absolutely right. I remember my first loss at Baylor, and I thought, oh, this business isn't for me. But you do. You get motivated by it. You keep that fire in your belly, and you just keep coaching.
Got a question on the front right?
Kim, Nina's numbers are down probably because of the balance you have and the fact you have more inside threats, but the fact that she's kind of accepted that situation as well, what does that say about Nina?
Well, Chuck, not only that, she had to play the 3 for us this year. She doesn't care. All she wants to do is be a part of a winning program. She wants to get to a Final Four. She's a team player. So she played the 3 pretty much the whole first half of the season. And her numbers, I mean, I don't have to call her number as much anymore. And when you play as many people as we play, I think her numbers are pretty comparable to what she's done in the past based on minutes played and how we're sharing the basketball with a lot of people. You know, Nina has to guard on the perimeter some. She has to guard bigger players. She's just a young lady that she just loves the game.
This will be the final question for Coach.
Way to put the pressure on, Peter. Kim, as we all know, and you've even mentioned earlier, this will be the site of the Final Four next year. And obviously you have a young team that's got talent, and I know you're looking at this game, but do you want them to absorb the atmosphere and maybe, you know, get used to this a little bit and maybe use that as a stepping stone for next year?
I just want them to go out there and win a ball game on a big stage. If the atmosphere is great and they remember it and how it feels, good, enjoy it. But when we go on that floor, I want them to do what they've been doing. And it's a little bit bigger stage now. Competition's going to be a little bit better every step of the way. So a lot of them have been on this stage. And it's the young ones that have not. But I anticipate that they'll be excited, and they should be, and go play.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much
All
for your
right.
comments. Thanks, Coach. We'll have our student athletes here in about 5 minutes. I want to remind you again, when you ask questions for our student athletes, if you want more than one to answer the question, please give the order that you want them to answer in. do that?
Oh, I do too. She's come a long way though since she started coaching because she was not well today.
Oh, gosh. That would have been fun. Is my junk in your way to take pictures? You sure? Okay, well, I mean, I could move it, but I hate to. Good, thank you. Our student athletes are on the way. They should be here momentarily. Again, if you would please give your name and your affiliation on the first question. After that, it's not necessary. But if you would please, again, if you want all the student athletes to answer the question, identify the order that you would like to have them answer it in, please. See your names up there, ladies.
Thank you. Jesus. My hair looking a mess. I gotta wash it.
We're now joined by our student athletes from Baylor, Nina Davis, Naya Johnson, and Alexis Jones. We'll take questions from the floor for our student athletes. Question in the middle.
Stephen Hawkins with the AP. Nina and I, y'all have both played in this building. What difference does it make to have played in this building before? And I don't think any of these other teams have been here before.
Who do you want to answer the question first, Steve? All right, Naya.
Oh, you're fine. I think there's no difference. Just being back here and you in Dallas and closer to home. Our fans get to come and see us play one more time, and hopefully it won't be the last. But being here is just going to be a great feeling and a great atmosphere.
I don't think it really makes a difference. I guess it is an advantage for our fans since they're only an hour and a half away and they can get here and don't have to fly or anything like that. But as far as playing here before, a gym is a gym, a rim is a rim, and so you just have to go out on the court ready to play.
We had a question on the front, and then we'll go to the back. Just a second.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News. A question for Naya. Coach Mulkey just talked about, when you didn't play against Oklahoma State and you guys lost, just how much that kind of hit you and that sort of thing. What was it about that? I mean, you're a veteran. You've been through losses before, but what was it about that one game that kind of struck you? And do you think that loss had an effect on this team going forward from that point?
The leadership and just not being out there and helping my team out, weathering the storm. And after that, yeah, I was heartbroken. But after that loss, we came back and we responded. Not only me, because I couldn't play, but just Alexis Jones and Nina Davis stepping up, being leaders as well, and just leading the team and bouncing back and realizing it's an eye opener, saying, hey, we have things to work on inside post presence and especially as guarding people as well. And I think we responded very well. As you can see, we're now in the Sweet 16.
Question about halfway back in the middle.
Mitch Blomer, Waco Tribune Herald. This question's for Alexis. This team has so much size, and so a lot of teams try to take away the size by just crashing the paint, and that's opened up the perimeter for shooters like you and Christy and Alexis Prince. I mean, talk about how much the 3-point shooting on this team has evolved, since you've joined them.
I think we really started shooting the 3-point shot first game of the tournament, and I think us shooting the three helps the inside game and also helps us as a team, because if we couldn't shoot that three, I think it would be easier to guard us. But us being able to shoot that three and also taking girls off the dribble and penetrating and kicking and finding other players, it helps a lot on the post area too, because they're going to double our post no matter what.
Question on the front right.
Question for Nina first and then Alexis. You just heard Naya's answer about the Oklahoma State game. I'm sure you remember that too and the effect it had. How did that kind of push you guys going forward?
We definitely took it upon ourselves. Me and Alexis, we felt really bad that we wasn't able to carry a team to a victory, especially just happened to start the conference off with a loss. But it was definitely a wake-up call that I think we needed. I'm not sure that we'll be the team that we are today if we would have not took that loss. It allowed us to know that we still have things to work on, that we're not as good as we are, and it just kind of put us in check into perspective, and it just helped us realize that we have to be leaders and carry this team.
It's just off what Nina said. I think that was a wake-up call for us, and I think it really just motivated us, and I think it made Naya and Nina to become better captains and to want it even more and to push this team to be the best that they could be at all times.
Got a question on the aisle right.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Alexis, you would have faced these guys a couple times, or a couple years ago. What did you see from them then, and have they evolved, or what do you see from them now compared to when you played against them a couple of years ago?
When I used to play against them, they were a lot the same, probably a lot older. They're just they're the same kind of players she always kind of picks up. I think she's coming to play a man more. She used to always play a zone when I was at Duke, and I think they're always been athletic. I mean, she picks up kind of like the same players as normal. It's just she might have some better players on the perimeter, and she always picks up the same kind of post players too. I just think that they're identical from the years when I used to play them.
Question on the front right.
Question for Alexis. Coach Mulkey has talked about you coming back from the two knee surgeries and everything. From your standpoint, when did you start feeling like the old Alexis Jones during the course of this season?
I don't even remember, but I know it took time, and I know it took a lot of aching and paining at the games, during the games, and I just had to push through it, and I didn't believe that I was going to ever overcome my knees aching, but my dad was like, you just got to keep pushing through it, and they're going to keep aching for a while until you get back into the flow of the game and really get back and picking up on the speed that you normally play. And after a while, during like maybe the middle of conference or the end of conference, they really didn't really ache as much no more.
Question in the middle.
Get this right this time. First for Nina, then for Naya. When you look at Florida State, there's a lot of similarities to Baylor and Florida State. Some size inside, but everybody can score. So talk about that matchup and that challenge when there's so much similarities to what the two teams can do.
It should be a good matchup. We have so many similarities, and I really think it's just going to come down to who take care of the ball more, who plays the better defense, because we're two teams that score in the 70s, so we're identical on offense, but the winner will be whoever played the most defense on tomorrow.
basically what Nina said, but not only that, but knowing your personnel, knowing who drives, knowing who shoots, and know who crashed the offensive, defensive boards, and knowing who running in transition. Just watching and looking at the scouting report.
Question on the rear left.
David Smoke, ESPN Central Texas. Naya and then Nina. You hear about how coaches try to measure someone's heart regardless of the skill level. How do players know about somebody else's drive that you're playing either with or against? How do you recognize that?
I can speak in terms of with playing with these guys, just their motivation and determination on trying to get better, trying to make each other better on the court, going against each other hard in practice to make each other better overall, and just showing excitement and drive and that you want to get better.
Heart is something that you can't teach. I think it's just something that you kind of learn on your own, and either you have it or you don't. Playing with my teammates, I know that we have heart. Just to see after the loss that we took at Oklahoma State, the team had heart to come back the way we did, to win so many games in a row to get here. As far as other teams, you have to know that at this time of the year, we're in the Sweet 16, and everyone's going to play with a drive. Everyone's going to play with a heart because everyone's trying to get to the Final Four.
Question on the third row.
Now you're one of the few left over from that 2013 season. Y'all wear the bracelets, 8 is not enough, but you didn't even make it to 8 that year. How much does that loss resonate with you even 3 years later and motivate you maybe going into this round since this was the round you lost?
Going back to the Sweet 16, playing against Louisville and that loss, it was an eye-opener for the upperclassmen, such as Christina Higgins and Chardonnay, because we was there on the team with Brittany Griner and Odyssey Sims, and bouncing back from that, then going from that and going to playing against Notre Dame, and playing them hitting the wall twice and not be able to reach to the Final Four. It just speaks about itself. 8 is not enough, and you get tired of just reaching to that one step where you can just get beyond that and just reaching to the Final Four, and it just hurts. Just hitting that wall, and you're almost there, and going to my senior year, so it's one last chance to try to get there and just take it one game at a time.
Question on the front right.
Question for Naya. Over the years, we've heard about Coach Mulkey and her, I guess, expectations for her point guard. You played for her for 4 years now. You've been a key part of those teams. What's it been like playing for her at that position for the past 4 years?
Going my freshman and sophomore year, tough. Always on me for some reason, some odd reason. And I was just like, why is it on me? It's not my fault. But she usually says, I get on the point guards the most because you're the leader and you have the ball 90% of the time. And I was there, going through my years, junior and senior year, I was there to understand what she really meant by that. And not only that, but listen to the message, not the tone of her voice. And, I just took that into consideration. And being able to be a leader and a floor general on the court and lead my team to victories.
Question in the middle.
Naya, just kind of following up what you just said, you said listen to the message, not the tone of her voice. How hard, I guess not how hard, but talk about adjusting to Kim, especially for young players and for developing. I know you and Nina probably have a different relationship than the younger players do. Just talk about how that works.
Just telling them I was once in those shoes, and she's always yelling, unfortunately, and just try to encourage the freshmen because they always think she's yelling and I'm always getting on them, but she just wants you to be a better player and a better team, and not for that moment, but for later on, for something like this in the NCAA tournament, it's going to pay off. Just trying to encourage them and just say relax and you're going to be fine.
Question on the front right.
Question first for Nina and then for Naya. You saw what Alexis went through coming back with the 2 knee surgeries, and you also knew the talent she brought to the team. What kind of impact has she had? And just looking at the way she overcame it, was that, what was her take on that? Was that a bit of an inspiration for you guys?
It was for sure inspiration. We can't say that we know the struggle that she was feeling, the pain that she was going through. We knew that her knees were hurting, and we knew what type of player that she were and the player that she was before she had the knee surgeries. So it's just a lot of credit to her. She's a great player, and she's definitely made our team more complete. Just the offense that she brings to us, the defense, their energy, the leadership that she also brings in. It's just amazing to see how far she's came from the beginning of the year, and I'm glad she was able to overcome that injury and just be on our team and make us a better team overall.
Being able to bounce back with 2 knee surgeries and it's it's just something amazing for her to come back and do what she does in the Big 12 tournament, NCAA tournament, being a big impact on offense, scoring, passing. You don't know whether she's going to pass it or shoot it. Being able to be the point guard, backup point guard, whatever she needs to do. She's just willing to sacrifice for the team, and it wasn't easy at first, as you can see. I'm pretty sure she knows that. But just being able to lay it down on the road, just come back and be into her old self and be able to score whenever she needs to and want to, and just making our team better overall, whether it's being a leader or defending the best player, just stuff like that, or taking a charge. It's just amazing. She just make our team better overall.
This will be the final question for our student athletes.
Alexis, playing close to home, do you almost have to keep your emotions in check when you get out there for that first game, or are you concerned about that at all, and have you played in this building?
I haven't played in this building before. I don't think I have to keep my emotions in check. I just feel like I'm just going to be back at high school all over again, and I'm just really just excited that my mom and my dad are going to have the opportunity to finally get me to see me play in the first Sweet 16 of my college career. So, I mean, it's just exciting to know that I'm going to have a lot of family and friends that's just going to be really excited to watch me play out there.
Okay, ladies, thank you very much for your comments. Good luck tomorrow. Our next news conference will be at 12:25 with the Seminoles from Florida State.